So, I'm going to share a testimony of some healing, similar to Tom Yogi's amazing testimony that he shared last week, except this one is not physical healing as much as it's emotional healing. So, part of my story is I became a Christian in 8th grade, and now I'm several decades later, old, and but I've been walking with the Lord, trying to, and had the ups and downs that most all of us have as we grow with the Lord. But the story I want to share with you about is when I was 5 years old, I had been sexually abused by my neighbor's father. And, 10 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to say that. 10 years ago, I would have said, there's this weird thing that happened when I was in kindergarten. I don't really remember it. But God has been very gracious and kind in explaining that to me and helping me to see that and in just revealing that to me. So a few weeks ago, there was some new information that came out about it that the Lord revealed to me, and I shared it with my wife, and she was like, "Ooh, you need to go see your counselor." So I went and talked to my counselor, and he was really good about it. He said, "Well, what do you want to do? Do you want to dig into that story a little bit more, or do you want to go through this exercise called healing prayer, or listening prayer, where we just listen to what God wants to say to you in that?" So I said, "Let's do the listening part." And it was a super great journey. So I don't know if any of you have gone through EMDR or anything like that, where you have a safe space that you go to, and so you start off with having a safe space that you're comfortable, so that if you start sharing something and you things go wonky, then you come back to that and it's a safe place. So he said, go to your safe space and then ask, and then Jesus is going to come to you and ask him, "Do you love me?" So I said, all right, we'll try that. So I went to my safe space, and we started out, and he said, "Now say, Jesus, do you love me?" And so I said, "Jesus, do you love me?" But it was this weird dialogue, similar to when Jesus was reinstating Peter, and he was like, "Do you love me?" And he was like, "Do you know that I love you?" So I was saying, "Jesus, do you love me?" He's like, "You know that I love you." And I'm like, "Well, why weren't you there when this thing happened?" So I shared that with the guy, with my counselor, and he was like, "That doesn't sound like Jesus at all. That sounds like your dad. I'd like for you to invite your dad not to be here in this conversation." So I said, "Okay, we'll start again." So again, I get to my safe space, and he says, "Jesus, do you love me?" And so Jesus said, "Yes." And my counselor said, "So what did that sound like?" I said, "Well, it sounded kind of distant. Like God so loved the world, I'm part of the world, so therefore he loves me as part of that." And he said, "Yeah, that doesn't really sound much like Jesus either. Let's try it again." I said, "All right." So the last time I'm on my safe space, which is on the beach, and Jesus is coming out of the sunrise, and he comes to me, and he kneels right in front of me. And so my counselor's asking me, so he says, "Jesus, do you love me?" And so I said, "Yeah, Jesus, do you love me?" And he said, "What's Jesus doing now?" And I said, "Well, he's putting his hand on my arm gently and just staring right at me." And he goes, "Oh, there's Jesus." And that was just this amazing experience of being able to see Jesus. Then there was this other part where he was sitting next to me, and he had his hand on my shoulder, and he says, "Well, what do you feel?" And I said, "Well, it's just his strong carpenter hands, but it's not awkward or weird or anything. It was just kind of this gentle, loving experience." And he said, "Yeah, that's Jesus." And then we were running out of time, and so I was like, "Well, Jesus is leaving now," and it was very intentional that he went back out into the sunrise as opposed to down the beach, because he had somebody else to go to see. It was that I was still important to him. Well, a couple days later, my wife and I had been invited to be a host couple at a marriage retreat for Windshape, which is Chick-fil-A's marriage foundation. And so we were at this Soul Care for Your Marriage retreat. And the weekend kicked off with this guy saying, some of you might just need to ask Jesus, or Jesus might be asking you, will you let me love you? And I was like, oh, like that. Even though I was there to be a host couple for others, it was like that ministered to me totally. Will you let me love you? And so we went through this one little exercise, and at the end of the exercise, they gave us these little crosses for us to remember. So I've kept this in my pocket ever since then as a reminder of, will you let me love you? And so even as we enter into this Easter season, this is Holy Week. Today is Maundy Thursday for those of you in liturgical churches that have come from that. Maundy being mandatum from the mandate he gave us of the communion. And so this whole journey has been, Jesus, will you let, or he's like, will you let me love you? And so I'm in this process of continuing to understand that. And so I share that with you just to say that sometimes the healing is an emotional healing that God wants to bring to you. And a great way, if you are in that journey, is to even consider joining the soul care group. And I don't know when the next one is, but that would be a great one for you to begin that journey as well. So that's what I want to share with you.